Hello, I'm Bob Harris. When it comes to sealers, unfortunately, it's not a one-size-fits-all. There's a multitude and a wide variety of different types of sealers. Some work well on exterior environments while others are bound to interior applications. So you need to check with your manufacturer to find out which sealer best suits your environment and what it is you're sealing. For example, here on our micro-topped surface, we're applying a solvent-based acrylic sealer. Anytime you're working with solventated products, you have to be very careful. Make sure there's no open ignition source, no pilot lights, nobody smoking anywhere in the general vicinity, and have a lot of air and ventilation if you're working with these types of products. Now, if you're going to be outside, you have to be concerned about UV stability. You want a sealer that's going to stand up to the test of time with a lot of UV exposure. On interior surfaces, there's going to be environments that you need a high build coating, not a sealer. Now we're building a thick film build, and that's going to really hold up over the test of time. When you do these beautiful floors, the last thing that you want is for the sealers or coatings to wear through and start degrading the underlying color, whether it's a water-based dye or an acid stain. So the logic is a coat or two of epoxy, and if you're using an epoxy, you never use that or leave that as your final wear surface. You're going to always coat over your epoxy. Although they're very durable, the fact that they dry so brittle and rigid makes them prone to scuffing and scratching. So what we will usually do is we will apply a polyurethane over the top of the previously epoxied floor, or we will wax over the top of the epoxy or floor finish over the epoxy. Now, there's a wide variety of sealers available. Sealers that are popular in today's marketplace, they consist of polyaspartics. Polyaspartics come in a wide variety of solids content. I've worked with 100% solids, 65% solids, 50% solids polyaspartics, and I think the advantage of a polyaspartic is it does have UV stability. It will set up in really cool conditions, but it's a very rapid drying coating, which I think is the biggest benefit to using a polyaspartic. Please remember, anytime you get into the coatings market, epoxies, urethanes, polyaspartics, you really need to be on your A game and know what you're doing. They're a little bit more difficult to work with than the typical water-based or solvent-based acrylic sealer. You have issues such as temperature, relative humidity, the way that it goes down, you could get outgassing bubbles, a lot of lint. Some of these coatings take upwards of 8 or 9 hours to dry. So despite closing all of your doors, turning the lights off, you can imagine what could happen in that time frame. I've seen flies and moths land in your epoxy. Now you have to sand it out. So do your homework, choose the appropriate sealer for that specific application, and you too can have some beautiful work in the long run. On most of our decorative driveway that you see here, we've sealed it with solvent-based acrylic. And actually there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, we want a UV stability, and also they're easy to apply and they're a breathable system. You can use different sealers for this type of environment, such as polyurethanes, but you also have to be concerned about, especially on something so sloped, about slip resistance. So we believe in putting our sealers down thin and maintain them on a frequent basis. Also keep in mind, with even light traffic, light to moderate traffic, typically panels like this would need to be resealed every 2 or so years. So if you have a surface that gets a lot of traffic, you might need to apply more sealer on a more frequent basis, or perhaps use a more durable sealer like a polyurethane or a polyaspartic. Once again, if you have any slip issues, like around a pool deck or on severe sloped areas, you might want to put a glass bead or some type of an aggregate, some type of a silica aggregate into your sealer. And what that does is it provides a little bit of a grip or a grit to it, and makes it much less slippery, especially if it gets wet.